We go. Hey, everybody, good evening. Happy Tuesday to y'all, and welcome to another Good Natured Hour. Um, I've got a couple of actually a show and tell thing, and an interesting voicemail that I received this afternoon that we're going to delve into a little bit. And actually, a bit of old news from like a month ago that I thought I'd shared with you. And then when I checked back, I didn't. So let's go ahead and get started. Here is tonight's show and tell. And it's something I've had sitting in this jar on a shelf in my house for probably a couple of years. Does anybody recognize these? Oh, I think it's got some of the seeds are moving out of it. Here's one, and here's another. Camera focus on them. Got a whole jar of them, and they're going to be put to good use this Friday. This is actually the subject of this month's visit down to WGN Morning News. Yep, you got it, Diane. These are sweet gum balls, but well, one of the things that we're going to interpret for our segment is that even though they're not native to this part of Illinois, they grow. If you look at the distribution map for sweet gum in Illinois, it's pretty much evenly divided. In the southern half of the state is considered its native range, but up north here, it's sometimes planted as an ornamental. It does add a lot of interest. A lot of these balls tend to hang on all winter long, so they get a little snow on them should we get the little snow, but they also serve as food for birds. I'm gonna see if I can knock out some of the seeds. Well, I don't know if I can get the seeds to stay on my hand when I lift them up to show you. They're tiny little seeds, but birds can actually mine these balls for the seeds that are inside. Might be chickadees, it might be goldfinches, sometimes even starlings. Starlings, they eat all kinds of stuff, and even they can be found feeding on the seeds that are inside of these. I guess technically we'd call them a fruit growing on the tree. Now, when you take a few of them and you put them together, they can become a Christmas. I'm not going to have enough hands, and I don't have any glue to put it together. You take the stems off. You can actually build lots of different symbols of the holiday season using these. You can put them together like this, add some legs, put a couple antlers on the top, and you can make reindeer. You can put them in a circle and form a wreath. They're going to stay together. We're just gonna, with the help of Jenny, Jenny Santos is this is going to be a very, very local reference. Anybody who grew up watching or remembers watching Ray Rayner in the morning, Ray would have his do-it-yourself project, and there would be the perfect little craft that was made by somebody off camera. They always referred to him as Chauncey. Jenny is our Chauncey. She's skilled with a glue gun. She does a lot of crafting. She's gonna carry the segment with her skill. I'm just gonna talk a little bit about sweet gum's place in our local ecology, what it brings to the landscape and what it does for wildlife. And then we'll look at Jenny's artistry in terms of the sweet gum balls. So that is actually coming up this Friday, December 15th. We'll be on about 9:30 in the morning. If you're not doing anything, might want to check it out. It's always fun when we go down there. For me, again, the kid that grew up in this area watching Ray Rayner and Garfield Goose and Bozo Circus, family classics, all of that. Channel 9 was actually the best channel to get on our television with the antenna. I watched a lot of Channel 9 growing up. Cubs games in the summertime. It's like going a little taste of home when I go back down there. They have a lot of shrines to those good old days. Anyway, keep that in mind if you're so inclined this Friday at 9:30. From there, let's see, I wanted to mention, so this was an email. He's gonna have a fit because now I got sweet gum seeds in the keyboard. I got this press release about a month ago, and I thought it was really interesting. I'm gonna do a screen share so that you too can check it out. Here it is. This is from the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. This was at the start of the bow hunting season. Oh, it says my screen share is loading. Okay, now I'm sharing. Let me move this box out of the way. Look at this, a cougar killed in Buffalo County. Now, the gist of it, so you don't have to read the whole thing. There was a bow hunter. He saw something moving from up in, I'm assuming he was up in a tree stand. From wherever it was, he was waiting for deer. Saw something moving, and he realized it wasn't a deer. Saw that it was a cougar, and he made some motions to and by the way, this isn't all in the press release. There was a couple of online articles that described this too, but you know, he was like trying to make himself look bigger, trying to make himself look scary, trying to get the cougar to move away. The cougar did not move away, so the cougar paid with its life. The bow hunter shot and killed the cougar, and then actually reported it, which is what you're supposed to do because you're not supposed to kill these things. The state's attorney, they investigated, listened to the hunter's description of what happened, and they decided to not file any charges. So this was determined to be, first of all, let's go over here to, where's our map here? Here is, let's zoom out a little bit. Buffalo County is over in southwestern Wisconsin. This is, oh, hi, Mike. You know, I'm doing a little Zoom thing tonight. Yeah, you're fine. So, the Buffalo County is right here. So, here's the Twin Cities up here. And then if we go down here, here's La Crosse. This is Buffalo County. I don't know exactly where the incident occurred, but you can bet that the animal probably came across the Mississippi somewhere where there was either a bridge or some convenient islands, and met his fate here. If we zoom out even farther, we can see we're talking probably, you know, about 4 hours or so from our area here.
Pam, I don't think you're sharing that.
I'm not. What do you guys, are you still seeing the press release?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. All right. Well, let me make that go away. Well, I was doing such a good job of circling it. Hold on. Let's drop these. Okay, screen sharing has stopped. All right, let's try it again. I'm going to share the screen. Let's go to this one. How about that? That's loading. It's loading.
There it is.
There we go. Okay. All right, let me zoom back in over here. Thanks for telling me that. I had no idea. Let's zoom in there. So here is Buffalo County. Down here, downstream a little bit, this is La Crosse. Up here is the Twin Cities. Here's Buffalo County, and then Madison. And here we are down here in Kane County. So if let me zoom out just a little bit more. So from here to here, it's probably about 4 hours away, not all that far. They said that the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources said that to their knowledge, this is the first cougar killed in Wisconsin in well over 100 years. There is a map online, and I'm going to try, let me know if this doesn't share. But this is a document that WDNR produced showing all the cougar sightings, I'm sorry, confirmed and probable cougar observations. That's looking at game camera footage, people's descriptions, things that the investigating wildlife biologists feel was legitimate enough to count as a sighting. You can see there's been quite a few. Each colored dot corresponds to a year. 2023, there's a whole slew over here in Marinette County. That's a place near and dear to my heart because our family cabin is just over the border here in Menominee County, Michigan. But a fair number of sightings. It does explain on here that each observation does not necessarily represent a different cougar. So something like this could very well be the same animal just showing up again and again. If we zoom in farther, those dots get farther apart, but you see just how many there are in some of these locations. But the animal in this particular incident, as you might have surmised if you've been listening to the other cougar sightings, whether they're here or in other states, it was a young male. He was 128 pounds. He was thought to be about 2 years old. That is fairly, I guess you'd say, typical. It's usually the young males that are out searching for a new home, a new range they can call their home. They are going to do some genetic testing on the animal to see if they can determine where it came from. South Dakota seems to be a big place. The nearest persisting population that the animals are dispersing from. So they're going to see if they can't get some more information. I don't know how long that sort of thing will take, but you can see Wisconsin's been a pretty busy place from the perspective of cougar sightings. I get kind of excited about things like this. I know cougars are, they are big predators, and in terms of what we have to deal with around here meaning the upper Midwest, they certainly are capable of harming humans. Do they want to harm humans? I don't think so, unless an animal has become used to humans being a source of food. If someone's been feeding an animal like this, I think they'd rather leave us alone and go for things like deer. And I thought it was a little bit ironic that the deer hunter who shot that cougar they were both after the same thing. I bet they were both hunting deer on the day that happened. But that might be something you all would be interested in, especially if you travel to Wisconsin or know anybody that lives up there. Keep that in mind. It's a busy cougar place from time to time. All right. Oh, okay. I'm going to stop the share. And all right, you guys are going to have to help me on this too, because it's been a while since I've shared an audio, a recording. I may have to share the screen to get the audio to come through. So, all right, let's do this again. And we're going to go to I see it on here. I'm going to share the sound. All right. You guys let me know if you hear a voice.
Live in the country, and I'm looking for an educated guess. By the way, I love your columns. Holes in the yard.
Okay, is that coming through? Can somebody let me know if you're hearing the woman's voice?
It is.
Okay, all right. So she lives in the country. She's finding holes in her yard.
Can you make it
Let's-
just a
let's
little bit
resume.
louder, Pam?
Turn it up. Let's
Yeah.
see. She does have kind of a quiet voice, but let me see here if I can turn it up anymore. Oh yeah, I can go way up. All right. She might sound really loud now. Here you go.
Big holes. Originally, they were the woodchuck because they went deep, but now they are 6-8 inches deep with a tunnel a small tunnel at the end. Is the fox trying to dig out ground squirrels? If not, who's digging holes? Just an interesting question that I'd like to know if you've got any guesses. Thank you for listening. I'm Marisa Davis.
So, let's go now. I better stop this share and we're going to go back to another screen. This particular woman, by the way, she is 90 years old. She lives, as she said, in the country. Let's see, let's pick this one, but then let's go. She lives, there it is. She lives in sort of southwestern Kane County. She described herself as being between Caneville and Big Rock. So here, St. Charles is over here. So here's Caneville, here's Big Rock. She's in this area here. So if we zoom in, it's not too far from Sour Cane family, what do they call it? Sour Prairie Cane Forest Preserve. And she's not too far from a creek. She's got the creek east of her. And these holes have appeared quite suddenly over the past week. As you heard her describe, they're 6 to 8 inches across. And they don't go terribly deep. She wondered if perhaps a fox was digging out ground squirrel. So when I heard all this, I got super excited and I called her and asked about those ground squirrels. And I love how she described them. She said, oh, they've been terrible the last couple of years. Well, a couple months ago, I'd gotten a call from a woman in Elburn, described almost the same thing. So Elburn, let's see if we go up. Elburn is, where's 47? Right in here. Oh, there's Main Street. Elburn, the town here is downtown Elburn. The woman who called before, she said she lived west of town in Elburn. So she was up here. This woman is down here. So really not all that far apart. There is a major expressway in the way in the middle here, Route 88. But the animal, and you guys might be thinking the same thing I was. We're going to go to this screen here and this animal right here. I'm thinking that she had a badger come calling. When you've got a high density of a prey animal like a ground squirrel, and we're at this kind of weird time of, well, it's not a weird time of year, but it's a weird weather condition for this time of year. The ground isn't frozen yet, so badgers are still able to actively hunt their preferred foods, which are little creatures that live in the ground. Those animals, the ground squirrels, they are in I don't know, like when she said ground squirrels, I didn't ask her if she was referring to 13-line ground squirrels or if she was referring to chipmunks. But chipmunks go into kind of a winter torpor. Ground squirrels actually hibernate, so they're really easy to pick off. Look at the claws on an American badger. That is what they're built to do, is dig out those animals from those burrows. So I'm pretty sure that's what she was experiencing. She's going to take some photos and send them to me. So if we get those, I will share those with you. But this is an animal that used to not ever hear anything about them. I think we got our first roadkill badger at the Park District about 2008, 2009, somewhere. It was before we had the Nature Center. And since then, there's been isolated reports. They're an animal because they're pretty nocturnal in their habits. Like this woman, she said, you know, she's looking out at her yard all day long. She has never seen a badger, but when she wakes up in the morning, she sees the evidence. So it's an animal that I think is probably going to stay there till it's satisfied, it's eaten all that it can, and then it's going to move on. Unless they're breeding, a badger isn't really likely to stay in one place for very long. I loaded in here. This was gosh, these pictures date back probably close to 10 years. This was a female that did stay long enough. She dug what is called a natal den. It's where they give birth and raise their young. This was up near the other tollway, up near I-90 in, I believe this was Hampshire. You can see this wonderfully sandy soil there. That's exactly what they like to dig in. This is a soybean field in the background. That's the badger from a distance, and here's the badger close up. They're really quite striking. They have a reputation for being ornery. They really don't like to be too near people. They're not very welcome as much as they earn their keep by keeping rodent populations in check. They are definitely not welcome in people who keep livestock in pastures, because a badger hole can be devastating to a large animal, a cow or a horse that steps down into the hole. But boy, these reports come in, you know, a few times a year now, which to me seems like a lot more than we used to hear about them. This was, I think we shared this last year. This was on a game camera just west of St. Charles on Route 64. Uh-oh. Hold on. There's another one I'm supposed to show you here. Where is? I must have the pictures out of order. Hang on here. There it is. Sorry, close your eyes. You just got a bunch of sneak previews there. This is a baby badger, and this too was actually not too far from that game camera nighttime photo. This is a baby badger in a window well. This is a house that's not too far from the Great Western Trail, east of 47. Not the windings, but one of the other subdivisions over in that general vicinity. Local folks might be able to picture that. But I thought this was such an interesting picture. So they did put a board down. They tipped it over. The badger was able to crawl out. But look, the badger was not alone. Let's see, can we zoom in here? Maybe we can't zoom in. Nope. I'll just have to point it out to you. Can you see? There's not only a baby badger, but there's a garter snake in the same window well. These folks were living my dream. Hopefully, I said after they showed me what it was, and actually when they first said they had a badger in their window well, I was not expecting an actual badger. Sometimes people not familiar with what we have around here will call something a badger, and I'll say, oh, you mean a woodchuck? And they'll go, oh yeah, whatever. So I was really kind of surprised to see an honest to goodness baby badger to start with. And then to see that it had a little garter snake companion there, that was even more exciting. But the badger was successfully outed. It was able to climb up. And we're assuming that it was reunited with its family because it wasn't seen again after that. So the badgers must have been, mama must have been not too far away. But yeah, keep your, if you are in this area, especially if you tend to travel west of what I call civilization here, the Tri-Cities, if you go out, into the more rural parts of Kane County, badgers, apparently they are still active. And especially if you're out in the evening, drive carefully, because most of the times I've seen badgers around here, it's been because they've been run over. So maybe kind of cool, kind of exciting. All right, close your eyes because I gotta zip back here to where we left off. Okay, open them again. This is something I can't figure out. This same kind of fish, it's some kind of shiner. There was over a dozen of them that were along the sidewalk and the riverwalk here in St. Charles last spring. And I talked to a few different fishermen who identified the fish, that it was a common bait fish. And we all kind of said, okay, somebody spilled their bait bucket along the Illinois Bridge and then along the Riverwalk, or maybe was feeding the gulls along there or something. But this fish was along the river in Batavia, well up. And this is, you can see it's not this isn't the river bank. This is the bypass underneath the Wilson Street Bridge in Batavia. But it's another fish way up out of the water. I don't know how this happens. The leap, if this fish did jump out on its own, it's a smaller leap than what it would have had to have done to end up on a bridge in here in St. Charles. Still, I don't know. Can't figure it out. Maybe somebody else dropped their bait too. It just seems kind of weird. So now I've started a little folder of weird shiner sightings along the Fox River. We'll see if anything else comes of it, but it's just, well, it's a head scratcher. I don't know why this fish was out of the water. And Kay, don't laugh. I have not had a lip balm in my pocket now for about 3 weeks, and I've really missed it. I need to break out as I have planned. Kay actually delivered a pack of brand new lip balms to me, so I really have no excuse, or I won't have any excuse in the future. I'll make sure I carry one in my pocket. But this fish is about the size of a lip balm. What's the point of that? So a small fish ending up out of the water for no apparent reason. If and when we find out, you guys will be the first to know why this is happening.
Pam, this is Diane. So going back to that fish,
Yeah.
up by its eye, are my eyes fooling me or what? But up by its eye, it
Oh,
looks
like you think it was through a hook or something?
it looks like a photograph. Like,
Up here?
yeah, right there. That looks like a little human face. At least
Wow.
it continues the mystery here, but it looks like.
What are the fish trying to tell us?
I don't know. I mean, it's really clear here with my visual interpretation. So.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like maybe there is some metal or something there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Very weird.
It was quite dry. Yeah. And that's the way you know what I should have done? I should have put a couple of the photos from last spring in here too, so we could compare. But to me, it looked like exactly the same. And, you know, a fish out of water. It's just weird. But maybe
Okay,
we
well,
can figure it out together.
okay. It's probably my eyes.
I'll be having fish nightmares tonight.
Really.
So yeah, shiners. If and each of you, if you are walking along the Fox River and you notice something like this, if you could take a picture too and send it to me, because there has to be a reason. I just cannot think of what it could be. All right, with that, this is another river related couple of photos. And this is something too, it's not so much news or uh, it's something that's always just kind of bugged me. And this photo was taken a couple of weeks ago. This is beneath the Wilson Street Bridge in Batavia. But you'll see this in Geneva, in St. Charles, in most of our river towns that have bridges spanning the Fox River. The bridges drain right into the water. So this was a sort of a damp day, and so there was some runoff occurring. But when you think, boy, you know, as we are now into December, we're into the season where if there's a chance of snow and ice, there's going to be salt, and this salt is going to wash. There's not even an opportunity for any kind of a vegetated buffer or anything. This water just rolls right off the street, down this pipe, and straight into the river. And chlorides are something, the chlorides that are in the ice melt that's used around here, it doesn't really go away. You know, we're seeing higher and higher concentration of chlorides. I know some of you are participating in the Conservation Foundation's chloride monitoring program, Salt Watch or whatever it's called. But I don't know if this seems to be an accepted practice, and to me it's not acceptable to have this water go right into the river when there could have been, even though it might not be practical to pipe it all the way down to the water treatment plant, but couldn't it be feasible to run some kind of a pipe off to the side here and then have it run through some vegetation of some sort that might trap some of those salts, um, some sort of salt loving plants. I don't know, something, even, you know, sands, something that would help to keep this material out of the river, because it's in all of our downtown areas, and it just, I don't know, doesn't seem right. So, all right, rant over. Let's go on to the next thing. So this is an adorable little fungus. I think I've got a couple of pictures here. This was found along the Virgil Gilman Trail, which is the one that runs past Bliss Woods Forest Preserve out in Sugar Grove, goes all the way into Aurora. But it caught my eye because it almost looked like a dried flower at first, but you can see it's kind of fuzzy here. It almost looks like the back of an animal's ear, doesn't it? If we zoom in on it here, it is genuinely fuzzy on one side and smooth on the other. Very, very soft and pliable. This is a fungus, and I don't have the species name on it, because there is there's a group of fungi that look like this. They're called tree ear fungus, and they are part of a group of fungi. They are edible. I've heard they don't really have a lot of flavor to them, but they're part of a group known as the ear fungi. genus for the group is Auricularia. So auricular, referring to the ear. This is a fungus. You know how fungi or mushrooms, they're the fruiting body of the larger fungal organism beneath the substrate. Some fungi grow in soil. There's lots of different substrates. The tree ear fungus always grows on trees, which means this was a fungus out of place because it was laying right smack dab in the middle of the trail. But isn't it cool looking? Here's a description I found online. They are typically gelatinous. So sometimes people call these jelly fungus. Conspicuously hirsute, so conspicuously hairy on the outside. And then undersurface that is smooth, wrinkled, or veined. All species grow on wood, hence the name tree ear fungus. So you won't find these, even though this one was on the ground. I think it was because either it fell off, maybe somebody knocked it off, maybe an animal was going to take it away because they are edible. But really kind of cool looking fungi. Let's go back here. This almost reminds me of like an orchid or something, doesn't it? That shape. There's the zoom. Let's go in there again. Yeah, very cool. And again, we are in a very warm temperature spell that we're in. A lot of times this time of year, things have frozen solid, or we'll have even some snow on the ground. But we're still finding tree ear fungus here in the second week of December. And then this is something that I think I mentioned these briefly a couple months ago when we were talking about this being a mast year. A lot of the trees that produce hard mast, our nut trees, are going crazy. Soft mast as well. This is a vine, but it has really been very prominent in the areas that it grows. Carrion flower, as you can probably guess from the name, is not pollinated by our usual butterflies and native bees. Carrion flower has slightly different odor, character to its odor, and thus attracts things like flies and beetles. Keep your eyes open for these. They almost look like ornaments. I know it's that time of year when we're decorating a lot of things, but these balls of carrion flowers can be quite prevalent in areas where this vine tends to happen, which is woodlands. That's where you would tend to see these growing. Now, I think, let's see. Oh, that was the last one. This is just a close-up of the clump of the berries. I would think there'd be something attractive there to birds, but I have not seen a lot of things eating them. So maybe carrion flower is not, doesn't produce an edible or a berry that is valued. All right, before we go back to me, to not staring the screen, let me just pull this up. So a big part of my job during the week is visiting senior centers, retirement communities, that sort of thing, bringing the good-natured hour to them. And we've been talking a lot this month about the different types of holiday greenery, the spruces, which have, spruce starts with S and their needles are single and square. We've been talking about firs, starts with F and their needles are flat. And then we've been talking about pines, whose needles come in packages. And then I've been talking about things you can do with these things besides decorate. And this is something, last week I had the delicious hackberry non-dairy milk beverage, the elixir, I think we decided to call it. Well, I want to make some of this. This is taking pine needles, and this beverage relies on the natural yeast that's present in so many, there's yeasts everywhere. Let's get rid of this drug ad here. So what you do is you take pine needles and sugar and spring water. And now here's another way to identify pine. So pine needles come in packages, which means they are bundled together in groups. Our local white pine. Now, we actually here in King County don't have a native conifer. The closest stand of native white pines in northern Illinois would be out at, go figure, White Pines State Park out there in Oregon, Illinois. But we do also, we see red pines around here. Austrian pines are planted around here, but the needles are packaged in varying numbers. Austrian and red pines are in pairs. White pines come in packages or groups of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, WHITE. So you take some of these needles and sugar and water, and you put them in a jar with a tightly fitting lid, and then you let the yeast feed on the sugar, and that's going to produce bubbles. You let that go on for a few days, and what do you end up with but a what is supposedly a delicious, let's go back up here to the top, a delicious refreshing and Sprite-like beverage. The pine adds a sort of a citrus character to the beverage. So I'm going to give this a try. I need to find some pine trees that aren't close to a road, that aren't near any, I don't have any white pines at my house, but someplace where they're growing where I think they would be relatively free of all the junk we have in the air around here, you know, fertilizers and pesticide dusts and things like that. I'd like to avoid all that, but I'm going to give this a try. If I'm lucky and find them this week, we can discuss this some more next week. All right, folks, that's about all I had tonight. I'm going to stop the share, turn it over to you. I don't know if anybody has anything for the good of the group. If not,
Pam, this is Diane again. Am I able to share? We
don't
could try it.
Yeah, do you have a share button?
I have some jelly ear
Okay.
that I found at Elburn Forest Preserve, and I think let me try it. I don't know if it'll
Sure.
work, but let's try it. Photos. Okay, now I just got to get to the right. Do you see that? Do you see any photo?
I just saw your outline of yourself.
Okay,
Your
wait a minute.
screen.
Photos. So you're not seeing photos on the screen?
I'm not. Are you?
Yeah.
Weird, isn't it?
I am. Wait, let me
You're
hold
just
on.
sharing away.
Okay, hold on. It's going to take me just a minute to find the right photos, and then we'll see if it works. It may not work, but I know normally you can do this.
Do you have it where you could email it to me?
Well, I definitely can do that. I just thought this would be relevant, but
yeah. Well, if you can email it in the next couple of minutes,
oh, I could do that. Sure.
You could just pop it on, because it looks like Phil had a question here. We'll answer Phil's question while you're doing.
Okay, I will send it to you on my phone. Okay.
Excellent.
All right.
We're
I'm
gonna
muting.
multitask. So, earlier today, I had a call from our superintendent of parks, and internally here, rather than using Zoom as our teleconferencing platform, we have Microsoft Teams. And she called me on the phone, and she said she was going to, she wanted to know if I was at my desk. She was going to Teams me. And took me a little while to figure out what she meant by that. I didn't know Teams was a verb. Apparently it is. And this is also, I have quickly becoming the technology dinosaur here at the Park District. I have this sign on my phone because for as long as I've been using phones in a business, an office setting, we've always dialed 9 to get an outside line. Well, so many people were dialing 9 and then 1 and then accidentally hitting another one. We were getting all these 911 calls, and of course, they have to respond when they get a 911, or the first responders have to come out. So they switched our outside lines to 5, and I have to have this taped across the 9. Otherwise, I still dial 9. Where was I going with it? Oh, so yeah, it's been one of those IT kind of days where I've really had to stretch my way of thinking. The Teams call, she actually had to call me on the phone again to tell me how to answer the Teams call she was trying to make, because it didn't compute on my end. All right, let's Phil, I saw you had a question here. Okay. Have there been any recent porcupine sightings near Kane County? There was one I saw in the mid-90s on my bike near Coron and Burlington that was hit by a vehicle. It was in a wooded area. Curious on how they moved. Wow, that is big news, Phil. I was not aware of any porcupine sightings in this area. There was one. Oh gosh, this was shortly after I started here at St. Charles. There was someone who thought they had seen a porcupine at Norris Woods. But when you look at the range maps of where they occur, there really aren't porcupines in this part of the country. Porcupines, they're in Wisconsin. I know they have them in Door County. The porcupine that was thought to be seen at Norris Woods, we showed her, it was kind of like, doing a lineup that looked like this, there looked like this. She eventually decided that it was probably a woodchuck. So I'm not aware of any, Phil, but what I could do, we're actually talking with the wildlife biologist at King County, about some upcoming programs. I could ask him if he's aware of any porcupine sightings around here. I'm not. I didn't know we would have any around here. So yeah, if you can find out more on that, that'd be great. And I'll see if I can find out anything too. But I was not aware that they were in this part of Illinois or in this part of the country. And could have been an escaped pet. It absolutely, people do stuff like that all the time. So in fact, I had a call. Let's see, who was I talking to? And this woman said she was on Route 38 near the youth corrections facility. So pretty much, in the stretch that it would be just south of Hickory Knolls. And she said this animal bounded across the road. This was early in the morning. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. So it was still dark out. This animal bounded across the road. She said it had long ears. To her, it looked like a jackrabbit. And did we have any jackrabbits in this area? And I couldn't think of anything that would match that description other than possibly an escaped pet. So yeah, you can never discount the human factor. And Diane, so your email came in here. Give me just a second here. I will pull it up. And then I will try to share the right screen so we can look at it.
These photos, it was late September 29th.
Okay.
At Elburn Forest Preserve.
Okay. And now, are you a fungus monitor?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And it's auricularia.
Ooh, oh, these are pretty. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna open this email up. And then
I was so excited because I'm walking by and it was like my like eye level. And I thought, oh my gosh, that looks like an ear.
yeah, that's awesome. Let's see. All right, so now I've got to pick the right screen to share. Nope. There we go. Look at that. All right, so let's go back to your first one here. And get rid of that. Participants can see the application. All right. So so this is right at eye level, you said?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that photo right there, I think I had snapped that off to get the underside.
Turn it over. Okay.
Right, just so I could get a photo of the underside. But okay, that was when it was still attached to the tree, to the dead tree.
It does look like an ear, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was so weird looking.
And was it like kind of cold to the touch too? Was it kind of?
Yeah, it feels like cartilage, really.
Oh.
It's not as gelatinous as like some of the fungus we found, but this was more like cartilage. Very, very soft and bendy.
Ooh,
and then you can see all the fibers. And
look at that. That is so cool.
It was really cool.
It's an old ear.
That almost looks like it has cobwebs in it.
And then this one too. Very cool. So Diane, you and I know some of our other good-natured folks are fungus monitors too. So your job is to go out periodically throughout the year, take these pictures.
Our assignment is to go out at least once a month from April to November.
Okay.
And to provide, I mean, we don't necessarily have to ID it. I mean, if we can, that's great. But basically we take photos and measurements and note the GPS.
Okay.
And we have data sheets that we fill out and also provide the photos.
Yeah.
Thanks, Meredith.
If you can ID it, great, but you don't have to identify, right?
Right.
Very, very cool.
I mean, we're getting better, because this is the second year about IDing it.
Well, and fungi there's so many things you have to look at in order to make an idea. Sometimes it's obvious, but a lot of times you're having to it's not just the shape or the color. You're having to look at spore prints or even with a lot, there's sometimes it's almost impossible to figure out what it is you're looking at.
Well, if there's one thing I've learned, it's what's the most important thing about IDing a mushroom is the underside. Because the underside is either smooth, pores, or gills. And without that, I mean, like people will send, friends of mine that know that I do this, they'll send me pictures of mushrooms, but unless they send me the underside, I by looking at the cap and the stalk, I can't figure it out.
Well, because there's even parts on the, is that was it the annularis, the ring that goes around, some have it, some don't.
Well, even like turkey tail. I mean, turkey tail, if it has gills, right? It's gills, right? Or is it pores?
Pores.
But anyway,
It's pore, but a true turkey tail, I think
But
the
true
pores are so
turkey tail
fine,
has
you can't-
pores,
you
but
can't see 'em, right?
but
They're very-
false is smooth. I think
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah,
So
it's
even that I can't tell unless I flip it over and look at the bottom side.
just amazing though. Oh, and what's
I don't know. That looks like
Black there, huh?
scat, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I wonder, it almost looks like frass from some kind of insect.
Hmm.
They've been foraging around in there.
I have found fungi with snails on it or slugs.
Uh-huh.
I think
I
that
found this on
that's one of their favorite meals, I believe. Different kinds of mushrooms.
Was that you, Jerry? Somebody else was commenting too.
Nope, not me.
Nope. All right. So let's
And I think that picture you showed, was it last week you showed it or the week before, of the what was it? The giant millipede.
oh yeah.
And that was near fungus too. So I think they must munch on mushrooms too,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
would make sense.
Oh, that's one of my favorite little micro environments to explore is those damp woodland areas. There's just so much life down there. So many connections waiting to be discovered. Yeah, Meredith says great shots.
Thank you.
By the photographer too. So compliments to you there. Yeah, well, actually now that we're talking, I actually have just out of reach over there on the other side of the desk, some dried ear fungus that, because they will shrink in size. When they dry out, they shrink down. And then when we get a rain or something, then they rehydrate again. And I've been waiting for an opportunity to put them. It's growing on a strip of a little branch from an oak tree. But can't can't quite reach it, but they look like little dark blob, almost like an extension of the tree. But then you add water and they puff up, and they grow to probably what is that, about 1.5 2 inches. Very cool. I'm out. I don't think I have anything else to share tonight. And if none of you do, I think we will call it a wrap for tonight. We have one more meeting for the month of December. That's next week, the 19th. Yeah. And then we'll be off on the 26th, and then I've got to tell marketing to load up the 2024 dates, because I think we only put in through the end of this year. So folks, much appreciate your time tonight. Hope the rest of your week goes well for you, and see you back again next Tuesday. Take care, everybody.
Thanks a lot, Pam.
Good.
Thank you, Pam.
Pam.
Night.
Have a good night.
You too.